Today's 1014 day that I'm sharing lessons on learn. I'm learning how to support your dreams, your goals, allow you to become the person that you want to become. Today I speak about one topic, one dilemma that I think that a lot of times people have is stay where you're at, an uncomfortable position, or be uncomfortable and take that unknown risk. I think that every single person sometimes need to make the decision and have that dilemma because both of them are very, very uncomfortable. So that means you need to make a choice between two uncomfortable things. And I guess what do you feel which person succeeds the most? The person who really chooses to really stay with the familiar or person who really chooses with unfamiliar, but taking risk? It might be that they will take that chance and they will lose. Now, lose. For what kind of period? And again, we need to understand that person who really takes a risk could lose for a short period of time, but they will never lose for the long term. They will always win long term. Today, I really want to focus on really what are those reasons that people really choose to stay where they are, even though that there's almost impossible to lose taking that risk and really changing and going into that unknown. The first one is that it's very, very familiar to do the things that you already did for a long, long time. And really have that discomfort of something unknown is very, very, very daunting. Especially when it depends how long you've been doing that. It might be that you did it for a year, maybe for a decade, maybe even more. And the longer you do one way, the more familiar you are, the harder will be to change. So that means that the faster you jump out of that comfort, the faster you go to that unknown, the faster you build that skill set, the easier it is to do that. Because I think that the more times you went to that unknown, the easier to really to learn, to really go with that unknown. I think that a lot of times people try one thing, another thing, third thing, and they think that they're trying something new. But a lot of times what they're doing is doing exactly the same thing, just in different code. That means, what I mean by that is that we need to really try different things. Because if you do very, very similar things, even though you try something new, but because it's something very, very similar, it will never work. For example, if you want to really lose weight, now you played soccer to lose weight, didn't help. Now you play basketball to lose weight, didn't work. Now you play volleyball to lose weight, didn't work. Of course it didn't work because it's almost exactly the same thing. So that means that if you do play basketball, but now you move to do some kind of nutrition, what you eat tells a whole different thing. What you eat and what you do in exercise. And what kind of trainings might be the weightlifting, resistance training, rather than cardio training. So that means we need to look into what you actually change, because sometimes we think that we change, but actually we do not change because we do very, very, very similar things. So sometimes doing something totally different is actually the thing that would really help us to achieve. Now, of course, I understand that when you really go into something unknown, that could be that there's a lot of fear. So that means we need to be comfortable being fearful. Now, accept the fear and still take action. That's why I always say that courage is the most important thing in life. With courage, you can achieve anything. Without courage, it's very hard to move forward. It doesn't matter how much fear you have. It doesn't matter. What matters how big the courage is. And the most important part regarding that is that first time, we need to take action without courage. So that means you say, okay, I don't have courage. That's totally fine. Maybe first time you do something without courage. You don't have the courage and say, okay, I accept I don't have courage. I will take it and I will do it anyway. I think that when you make that decision to take action without courage, you will get courage when you take it. And that's a very, very powerful lesson to learn. Now, at the same time, we need to understand that comfort zone could be very, 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 very hard to take out because it's emotional, mental, psychological way to when we look into that, it's really something like a bond holding us in that position to really, you want to stay in that comfort zone because we've been here for a long time, and being able to really look into this dilemma and say that this comfort zone, even though it is much, much, much more comfortable, we're supposed to make us feel very uncomfortable being in comfort zone. When you start looking that our comfort zone is very uncomfortable, that means that that other thing that is theoretically uncomfortable, that change, unknown, is very uncomfortable. We need to really have that comfort feeling. So if it's unknown, that is comfortable. If it's known and familiar, that means that's uncomfortable. Because I have been there, I have done that, that means that I will not be able to get different results, because we need to understand it. If you want to have what you never had, you need to do what you never did. If you want to have what you never had, you need to do what you never did. So that means that if you want to have different things, we need to really be okay with the unknown, be comfortable with the unknown, and be uncomfortable with known and comfort. At the same time, we need to understand that we need to make sure that our decision-making process are at the highest level. So, okay, what kind of decision-making process do we have in place? And we need to understand that in our decision-making process, we need to involve vision, not the fears, not just short-term goals, vision, long-term goals. What are the long-term goals? Because when you include long-term goals, you understand that for the long-term perspective, taking action is always better. For the short-term goals, it's much better to really stay where you're at. But long-term goals will always go to really take something that you never did before. This is very, very easy to understand. Because when you do something you never did before, it might be that you fail for short-term. Maybe you will feel uncomfortable for a short term. Maybe you will be very disappointed for short term. Maybe you will not see results in the short term, but in long term, we'll see massive results. And that's why, like, looking at the vision is very, very important for making decisions regarding the to stay where you are or move somewhere else. And I guess we need to always say that we need to look into what are the life implications of one thing and what is life implications of another thing. So that means that, like, one example of weight loss. Do you want to do what you do right now? And if you get familiarized, do all the things that you're familiar, and what are the implications of that? Implications is that you will stay where you're at. Maybe you will even gain more weight because of that. Now, what is implications to change and do to whole different things? It might be that you will lose weight. Maybe you will stay where you are. Maybe you'll even gain weight. But what are the chances that you will lose weight comparing to stay where you're at right now? Like, implications of that is massively different. If you don't change anything, to lose weight is almost impossible. Because, of course, it's like insanity doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. But if you look into changing and doing totally different things, implication of that could be that you lose massive weight. And it could be example of a little bit like budgeting or making money. If you're doing exactly the same thing, you're doing exactly the same job, that means that implications that you will make exactly the same money. But if you change something and you totally start doing totally different things, it might be that you'll make less money, but you have a high chance to make much more money as well. So implications is that I think that we always need to consider what are the chances and what we are feeling more comfortable with. A risk, or really have that chance of succeeding. Because if you stay where you're at, you have zero chance of succeeding. But if you move to the other side, you have a lot of chance of succeeding and have a chance of failing. Other thing that we need to consider is, like, comfort is comfort. But if you move out of comfort, what that means is a growth. So if we really want to really grow, improve, get better, we need to move from comfort to growth. It's just very interesting to understand. If you keep doing what you're doing now, you already grew. You are already at that level. There's nothing to do to improve. But when you move to the other side, there is growth out of comfort zone. There's so much growth to do. And I think it's very, very powerful. That dilemma, I think that the more I share, the more I realize that how much more beneficial it is to move from familiar to unknown. And I think that other thing that we always need to really look into, that there's a lot of times people think that there's a massive risk to move to unknown. But I think that sometimes we need to understand that there's a perceived risk and actual risk. I think there's a lot of times there's almost no risk at all. And there's all the perceived risk. But when we go to something that we do not know, we think that there is a risk. But to be honest, there is no risk at all. When for example, you are developing a skill set, when you're trying to do that skill set by yourself, sometimes and doing the same thing and over and over and over again, You're not able to improve that skill. But now you find a mentor, and you may be afraid to take a mentor, maybe afraid to take a coach. And you think that when you will take a coach, you will lose something. Maybe you will not be able to improve. But actually, this is not actual risk. This is a perceived risk. Because when you will get a mentor, you will improve much, much more. 100%. There is almost guaranteed that you will get better. And I think that perceived that risk is sometimes stop us from really getting the results, even though that we think that is actual risk. And we need to really always reflect on that. I think that when you understand about implications, about impact, there's a lot of times you need to understand that there will be a lot of different kind of impacts. That means that if you think about money, there will be emotional impact, emotional, mental impact, spiritual impact, there will be financial impact. All those things will be impacted by you being able to really move from one to another. So moving from comfort to unknown. And I think that when we start really to one aspect of our lives, we're able to really learn to do in one. I think that that's something that is the best advice is that we look into what are your strengths, what are the most strong things that you are very good at, when you maybe are competent and confident, and in that area, move. Okay, what you're comfortable in and what we're familiar in, and do something in your strength, something that is unfamiliar, unknown. Because you are comfortable in that. So that means when you're able to do in your strength, then you're able to move any other area of life because you understand what it means to go from comfort, from familiar to unknown. And I think that we're able to really step into that role of doing unknown more often when we start from strengths, not just something that you feel very, very uncomfortable. We're able to develop that skill set of doing the right thing. So I think that's summing up, like to moving from familiar to unknown, is I think that one of the biggest thing that still is always looking into really short-term and long-term goals. So that means when we look into short term, we always will stay in a comfort. When we're always looking into long term, we always move to unknown because we know that the long term success will be coming only from unknown. Short term results will come from known, and long term results will always come from unknown. And at the same time, we always need to understand that unknown will become very, very soon known. That will become familiar, will become comfortable. So that place where you came will become our cage if you will not allow say, okay, I need more, I need to more, I need more unfamiliar things just to achieve my goal. So I hope you should reflect as well. How often do you stay in familiar? How long you stay there? Do you stay for a month? Do you stay for a year? Do you stay for 5 years? Because I think that when people are challenged their familiar, when they challenge their comfort as often as possible, that's the thing that is the moment you're able to grow faster and grow and achieve more. So I hope you choose to win and see you tomorrow.